Over the next couple of minutes, we're going to go through a couple of things you need to know about the lesson space, and it's really going to cover everything that's important to teach specific subjects. I'm going to focus on maths and teaching language online. So you should be with me here, following with a starting point. It says choose a starting point. Do you want a new whiteboard tab, a new document tab, a new code tab, or import a PDF or import a zip? We're going to look at all of these, but this is where you should be with me. You'll see the video. I can quickly enable the video and say hello, hi, but I'm going to remove that now, and this is where your students will join. You also see that if I hover over the plus at the top left, there will be the same starting point that we have there, and we're going to start off with a whiteboard. So what I could do, some things to note, I could invite others by clicking and copying that link and sending it to them. I'm going to make my screen full here. When others join, they will pop up here and you will see that the name of the people who are joining you. I can also use this chat on the bottom to say hello to my students and see if anyone is there, and upload some documents that might need be. So here we are on the lesson space on our whiteboard that we've created. So the first thing we're going to do is you immediately see we're on the draw tool, and you can hold your mouse down and you can start scribbling on the whiteboard. This is also a good time to learn some important tools. It's Control Z to undo and Control Y or Command if you're on a Mac to undo and redo your last actions. It's a very useful tool to use. You can also hold down Control to draw a straight line. You'll see I got a straight line here, and this is especially useful when maths or science or STEM kind of subjects. You can also, while holding down Control, also hold down Shift. And when you hold down Shift at the same time, you'll see it snapping to 15-degree increments. And this is especially useful if you wanted to draw something like your 45 degrees triangles or your 30 degrees triangles and 60 degrees triangles. And that's really the draw tool. Something else that's a nice useful shortcut when you're here is you can just press the button S, you can press the button D for draw, you can press the E for eraser, and you can press the T for text to jump straight to the text tool and all the different tools that you might have at the top. Those are a nice couple of short keys that you can do. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to remove what's here by selecting my select tool and selecting everything and removing it. We're now going to draw a shape. So we have our draw tool. Of course, we can erase something if we want to go. With the erase, of course, we make a couple of lines. The erase tool is going to tell us what it's going to erase. So we're going to erase that line. You see it makes it slightly transparent. We're going to erase everything. I'm now going to the shape tool and I'm hitting my rectangle, and you can see now I've got a long, thin rectangle, but if I hold down Control, what it's going to do is going to snap to a perfect square. The same is going to happen for the circle, or the ellipse. In this case, I make an ellipse, but if I hold down Control, it's going to snap to a perfect circle. So what we can also do is we can go to our Colors tab here, and we can make different color circles, different color shapes, different color drawings, and we can also fill the circle with a different color in this case. Maybe we want to fill it with a slightly different color like a pink, and there we have our circle. Something else that I'm going to teach you now is how to quickly copy and paste. So I've selected everything. I can go Control C, Control V, Control V, Control V, Control V, and I'm copying and pasting all these things. I'm going to undo them by pressing Control Z. It's also very useful to do when you might want to quickly get various things around. And this can also happen with the text tool. So I'm going to show you now with the text tool, which we have over there. I'm going to select the text tool. I'm going to start typing, or I'm going to type here, as it were. Type here. And what we can do with the text tool is we can make it bigger and smaller, just like you might with a shape where you make it bigger or smaller. And we can also copy and paste it as many times as we want. This is useful if you, for example, have some sums like 1 + 7 equals, and instead of rewriting that every time, you maybe want to put that over there, and you're going to copy and paste that a few times and create your sums like this, and then you can easily edit, and we're going to say, instead of 1, we're going to say 3 or 2 or whatever it is that we want to do. Okay, sometimes you might have some shapes or some text that you don't want your student to delete. So for example here, I'm going to right click and lock this item. It's a very useful technique. You see I can't select it anymore. I can select everything else, but what I'm going to do is delete, and you'll see that that's not deleting. So it's nice that I can draw over this now, and I can try and select this, and it will not remove my 1 + 7. It also can be especially useful for shapes. So for example, you can, just the same way we locked a text, we can also lock a shape or a picture or a PDF or anything we want to lock. If you import a PDF, it's actually automatically locked. Okay, I want to show you now what we're going to do over here. And what we're going to do is we're going to add or upload some PDFs and images. The first one I want to show you is I'm uploading an image. So I'm going to upload this trig graph here. And what it's going to do is it's going to upload this picture for me Perfect, and it's an excerpt of my homework. And I'm going to say to the student, okay, this is what we're battling with, so maybe I'm going to make a mark there. The student can also be there, and maybe the student will have a different color and say, I think it's that one, or I want to do that one, or let's make it for y equals -3. So this interacts, and again, you don't want this to move around, so the best thing to do is right-click and lock that item. Okay, I'm now going to show you what we can do before I go to importing a PDF with taking video snapshots. So for this, you'll need to enable your camera. So I'm going to enable my camera very briefly, and you can see me there. And I'm going to hold up some of my homework that I was battling with, right? Now, while I'm holding that up, I'm going to take a snapshot of that video. Now, you as the tutor will also be able to take a snapshot of that video. You can grab Matthew's video in this case. So I'm going to grab my own video, but I could also grab yours. And here we go. I've drawn a sine graph. I'm going to remove my video for a moment. And I'm going to say, okay, we wanted to draw y equals sine 2x, but we can see that that's actually meant to be a 2, and that's meant to be a -2. That's great. What is that period? We might be going through this. So this is a nice way to get what is on paper onto the space. Another very neat tool we can use is something with the screen sharing. So what I'm going to do here is I might be a student, I might be battling with something I am doing online on the internet. So I'm going to share my screen here. So you say to the student to share their screen there. You won't be able to do this for them. And when they hit share screen, they're going to be able to select what they want to share. So I'm going to select my homework that I'm battling with. And we can see here that if we have a look, this is my homework. I'm on the internet there. I'm on a website where I'm battling with some homework. And what I'm going to do, just the same way we took a snapshot, we're going to do the exact same thing here. And what you'll see it'll do now, I'm going to stop sharing that screen. So it's back to me. I'm also going to get rid of my video. And you can see now we've actually just imported a picture that is from my screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock this item. Or maybe what I want to do is I'm going to say, okay, let's zoom in a little bit and lock this item. I'll say, okay, how did we get from 120? Well, that was 90 and 30, and that is 90 plus 30 is 120. And then we can start interacting here. It's got my screen sharing there, which I decided not to hide. Before we move on to PDFs, I want to show you another thing with the whiteboard. So I'm going to add another whiteboard here. So in this whiteboard, I might call this whiteboard our trig graph, for example. And I can rename that for us. Now you'll see there's a couple of various options I want to show you with the tabs here. I can right click and I can disallow the tab to be closed so my student can't close it. I can also disallow changes. Say I wanted to create a picture or something and I want to disallow changes, my student can come on and they can't edit this. So if they came on 10 minutes before me, they can't start working on this piece of paper. So I'm going to allow changes again. And this is also quite nice if you've had something you spend a lot of work on, you can duplicate the tab and it will create another trig graph for you. And you can download this tab as an image. So what we're going to do now is I want to show you for my sine graph what we can do. We can add some background. So I'm going to add some small graph paper. I'm going to use my control tool. I'm going to create my Cartesian plane very quickly and simply. And I'm going to say, right, what we're going to draw now is that y equals 2 sine x. So the student's going to go ahead and they will be in a different color. So the student's going to first have to remind us that that's our x-axis and that's their y-axis. Perfect. And then they're going to draw their sine graph. They're going to know it looks something like that. Okay, what is that there? 180 degrees. Maybe it's also you're doing it in pi. And what is this here? Importantly, this is 2. Perfect. We've learned how to do our sine graph and teach our sine graph online. Okay, one very important thing to do before I go into PDFs is you can hit this invite others button. If the student is struggling to draw like I am here, you can hit this invite others, and what you can do is you can invite it to a tablet. So if the student has a tablet, they can use both the webcam and the tablet, and they can actually use the tablet to draw with their finger like they might a drawing tablet. I know some teachers have these drawing tablets which make it very easy, but not all students do. So a student with a smartphone or a tablet will be able to use that. Okay, now we're going to import a PDF. So I'm going to import a PDF. I'm going to import number bonds. Remember, I can also import a PDF by going over here and going import PDF. So I'm going to do it here, import PDF number bonds. Right, so this is a PDF, or in this case, it was a PowerPoint that I saved as a PDF. And here we're learning about number bonds. And there's another one where I'm saying there's more number bonds over here. And then we're going to try an example. And I said to the student, what plus 10 equals 10? Perfect. What plus 10 or plus 7 equals 10? And the student might go through here and complete this. I'm going to now move on to the document editor. So in the document tab, right, I go up here and create a new document. It's getting a bit messy, so I'm going to remove some of these past works. That is not too important to us. In my document editor, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull through some text that we were writing. We were maybe working on our essay, and this is Ernest Hemingway, and I could be typing in and say, okay, so we want to write a poem So we're going to write a poem here, and the student could come in there just like you might use a Google Doc. And this will also save them. The same is quite useful for coding. For coding, you can write some code here, and you can even select it to be the right syntaxing for you and your student to go through, and you'll soon be able to start rendering it here. Now the last thing I want to show you is how we can export a zip. We can export the zip file, and this is useful to us because what we can do with that, we can use it later, but I'm going to right now import a zip file. So the zip file I'm going to import is one that I downloaded a little while ago, and this one is I'm going to show you how it's quite useful to teach language online. So what I've done here is my student is learning English for the first time. You can see that that's moving. That's not ideal, so I want to lock it. Now they've got the sun here, the flowers here, and the dog here that I've already locked. Now what they can do is I'm asking them to drag and drop the flowers to the flowers, drag and drop the sun to the sun, and drag and drop the dog to the dog. And while we go, I want them to select the orange or the red, and I want them to find the windmill and put a circle around it. There we go. Perfect. And that's how you might use something like this to teach language at a low level online. Remember, one of the big advantages to this is you can build your lessons once and you can never ever need to build it again. You can also take something like the code rendering, you can download it as HTML, or if you're now very happy with what you've done here, you can download that as an image. Great, I hope you've enjoyed the tutorial, but that covers just about everything that's important to get started on the lesson space, and I'm sure you'll find some tips and tricks to make it even more effective for yourself.